Welcome to Lumina. It's not your average village, tucked away in some forgotten valley. No, Lumina is special. It hums with magic. A constant low thrum you can feel in your bones, like the bass from a really good concert. The houses are carved from living wood, their windows glowing with soft magical light. The cobblestone streets seem to shimmer, even when there's no sun. Everything here is powered by magic. It's in the air we breathe and the water we drink. It's a place where the impossible is just another Tuesday. And at the heart of it all, literally, are the Lumina stones. Every person born in Lumina receives one. It's a rite of passage, more important than your first steps or your first words. These aren't just pretty rocks. They are living gems that appear on your chest when you come of age. They connect you to the magical energy of the world, granting you powers beyond imagination. Some people can command the elements, making fire dance or water bend to their will. Others can speak to animals or heal wounds with a touch. The stones glow with a light that reflects your inner power and your soul. They are a part of you, as essential as your own heart. Life in Lumina revolves around these stones. Our society, our culture, our entire way of life is built upon the magic they provide. We have schools dedicated to honing these abilities, teaching young Luminans to control their gifts responsibly. The strength of your magic can determine your path in life, from being a guardian of the village to a master artisan whose creations are infused with wonder. It's a system that has worked for centuries, creating a community of powerful, skilled individuals. But power, as everyone knows, is a tricky thing. It can build, and it can just as easily destroy. The village elders always remind us that the stone is a reflection of who we are. It amplifies what is already inside. If your heart is pure, your magic will be a force for good, a shining beacon of hope. But if you have darkness, even a little bit, the stone can magnify that too. It's a constant balancing act, a daily struggle to ensure our powers serve the light, not the shadows. That's the first lesson every child in Lumina learns. Your greatest strength can also be your greatest weakness. And believe me, I was about to find that out the hard way. In our family there was Zeno, and then there was me, Azrial. Zeno was the golden boy. He was everything a big brother should be, and then some. His Lumina stone, a brilliant sapphire, pulsed with a steady, confident light. He was a master of elemental magic, able to conjure storms and shape the earth with a flick of his wrist. He was a natural leader, already a respected member of the village guard at a young age. People looked up to him. They saw him as the future, the protector Lumina needed. He was strong, he was brave, and he never seemed to have a single doubt in his mind. Then there was me. I was still in school, the Lumina Academy of Magical Arts. My stone hadn't manifested yet, which meant I was stuck in the theoretical classes. While Zeno was out there saving the day, I was learning about the history of magic and the ethics of spellcasting. My chosen field was blood art, a rare and complex form of magic that uses one's own life force to create powerful effects. It was fascinating but also considered a bit dark. My teachers said I had potential, but potential isn't the same as actual skill. I was just Azrial, Zeno's little brother, trying to find my own way. I really looked up to Zeno. How could I not? He was amazing. He would show me his techniques, creating miniature whirlwinds in the palm of his hand or making flowers bloom in an instant. He always encouraged me, telling me that one day I'd be just as powerful. Our family has strong magic, Azrial, he'd say, clapping me on the shoulder. Just wait, your time will come. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But it was hard not to feel like I was living in his shadow. A very big, very impressive, storm-conjuring shadow. My final exam was coming up. It wasn't a written test, it was the awakening ceremony, the day I would finally receive my Lumina stone. I was a bundle of nerves and excitement. This was it. This was the day I would stop being a student and start being a true magic user. I dreamt of what my stone would be, what powers it would grant me. I hoped it would be something cool, something that would make Zeno proud. I wanted to prove that I wasn't just his little brother. I was Azrial, a powerful blood artist in my own right. I had no idea my awakening would be a day nobody in Lumina would ever forget. The great hall of the academy was packed. Every student my age was there, their faces a mixture of fear and giddy anticipation. The air crackled with energy. Our teachers, the masters of the arts, stood on a raised dais, their own Lumina stones glowing with immense power. Master Elara, the headmistress, began the ceremony. One by one, students were called forward. They would place their hand over their heart, and with a flash of light, their stone would appear. A girl named Lyra got an emerald that let her talk to plants. A boy named Kale received a topaz that gave him super speed. Each one was a miracle. Finally, it was my turn. Azrial, son of Corvin. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I walked towards the dais, my legs feeling like jelly. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, including Xenos from the gallery. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. This was my moment. I placed my hand on my chest, just as I had practiced 100 times in my mind. I closed my eyes and focused, calling out to the magic within me, begging it to answer. I poured all my hopes, all my dreams, all my desire to prove myself into that single silent plea. For a second, nothing happened. A murmur went through the crowd. My stomach sank. Had I failed? Was I one of the rare few with no magic? But then, I felt it. A searing heat erupted in my chest, so intense it stole my breath. It wasn't the gentle warmth others had described. It was a raging inferno. A light exploded from my chest, but it wasn't blue or green or gold. It was a deep, swirling crimson, shot through with veins of pure blackness. A stone formed, jagged and sharp like a shard of obsidian, pulsing with a menacing, hungry light. It felt wrong. The crowd gasped. The teachers on the dais took a step back, their faces etched with alarm. This wasn't a normal awakening. The stone on my chest felt alive, but not in a good way. It felt like a parasite, a predator. Whispers of dark energy slithered into my mind, promising power, promising greatness, but at a terrible cost. The room started to spin. The crimson light from my stone grew brighter, casting terrifying shadows that danced on the walls. Something was terribly, horribly wrong. This wasn't the power I had dreamt of. This was a nightmare. The power from the crimson stone was overwhelming. It was a tidal wave of raw, chaotic energy crashing against the shores of my mind. Voices whispered to me, ancient and hungry. They told me to let go, to embrace the power, to unleash it upon everyone who ever doubted me. Black tendrils of shadow magic snaked out from the stone, wrapping around my arms. I cried out, fighting for control, but it was like trying to hold back the ocean with my bare hands. The darkness was too strong. It wanted out, and it wanted to use me as its vessel. My teachers, seeing the danger, sprang into action. Master Zoki, the stern combat instructor, and Master Ilara, the wise headmistress, rushed forward. Their own stones blazed with protective light. "Hold on, Azrial!" Master Ilara shouted, her voice cutting through the chaotic whispers in my head. She and the other masters formed a circle around me, chanting in an ancient language. Golden light poured from their hands, forming a shield that pushed back against the encroaching darkness. It was a desperate battle of wills, light against shadow, with me trapped in the middle. The combined power of the masters was immense. They managed to contain the outburst, forcing the dark energy back into the stone. The black tendrils receded, and the hungry voices faded to a dull murmur. I collapsed to my knees, gasping for air, sweat beading on my forehead. The great hall was silent, the celebratory atmosphere replaced by one of fear and confusion. I looked down at the crimson and black stone on my chest. It was quiet now, but I could still feel it. A cold, heavy weight, a sleeping monster waiting for its next chance to strike. Later, in Master Ilara's office, she explained the grim reality. "The containment field we placed on your stone is only temporary, Azrial," she said, her expression grave. "The darkness within it is ancient and powerful. We do not have the knowledge to sever its connection to you permanently." She told me that the stone hadn't just awakened my magic. It had latched onto a dormant parasitic entity. The teachers had saved me for now, but it was a patch, not a cure. The darkness was still there, a part of me, and it would eventually break free again. My journey was just beginning, and it was already a dangerous one. Master Ilara laid out my only option. It was a long shot, a quest straight out of the legends we studied in history class. "There is one person who might be able to help you," she said, her voice low. "A legendary magic user known only as the Hermit of Mount Cinder. He was a master of all forms of magic, including the ancient arts of purification and containment. If anyone can help you control this darkness or remove it, it is him." The problem was, no one had seen the Hermit in decades. Some said he was just a myth. Finding him would be a monumental task. The path forward was clear, but honestly, it was terrifying. I had to seek out this mysterious hermit. This wasn't a school assignment. This was a matter of life and death. My life and, well, potentially the lives of everyone around me if I lost control. Zeno, ever the protector, wanted to come with me. He argued with the masters, insisting it was his duty to protect me. But Master Elara was firm. "This is Azrial's journey, Zeno," she insisted. "He must learn to face this darkness himself. Your presence would only become a crutch, or worse, a target." So I had to go, but not entirely alone. The masters decided my training at the academy wasn't over. Actually, it was more critical than ever. My quest for the hermit would be integrated into a new, advanced curriculum designed for students with unique challenges. They would push me to my limits, preparing me for the dangers ahead. I had to learn to control my blood art magic while simultaneously suppressing the dark entity latched onto my stone. It was, honestly, a daunting prospect. How could I learn to master my own power when a malevolent force was constantly trying to hijack it? My heart was a chaotic mix of fear and, I guess, a strange sort of determination. My dream of becoming a great magic user had twisted into a desperate struggle for survival. I wasn't just fighting for recognition or to make my brother proud anymore. I was fighting for my own soul. The road to Mount Cinder was long and fraught with peril, both from the outside world and from the darkness I carried within my own chest. My epic journey had begun, not with a bang, but with a terrifying whisper of shadow. I had to succeed. There was no other choice. Returning to my classes at the academy felt strange. Everyone knew what had happened at the awakening ceremony. They looked at me differently, some with pity, some with fear. I was no longer just Azrial. I was the boy with the dark stone. My school ranking, something I'd once worried about, now seemed utterly trivial. Who cares if you're number 1 or number 100 when you've got a malevolent shadow entity trying to take over your body? I tried to keep my head down, focusing on my studies and my training, but it was hard when you felt like a ticking time bomb. It was in my advanced combat class, taught by the notoriously tough Master Zoki, that things started to change. Zoki didn't treat me with pity. If anything, he was harder on me than anyone else. "The darkness feeds on weakness, Azriel," he would bark. "Wallowing in self-pity is like serving at a 7-course meal." In his class, I met other students who were part of the special curriculum. They all had their own powerful, sometimes volatile abilities. For the first time since the ceremony, I didn't feel completely alone. We were a group of misfits, all trying to tame the wild magic within us. Among them was a princess from a faraway land, Minamoto. She was fierce, proud, and incredibly powerful. Her Lumina stone was a flawless diamond, and she could manipulate light itself, creating solid weapons and blinding flashes. She saw my dark stone not as a curse, but as a challenge. From the moment we met, we were rivals. Our first duel was explosive. My crimson blood magic, tinged with shadow, clashed against her pure, brilliant light. It was a whirlwind of red and white energy. She was strong, incredibly strong, and she pushed me harder than anyone ever had. The fight ended in a draw, leaving us both breathless and with a newfound respect for each other. Minamoto wasn't afraid of me. She saw past the darkness to the fighter underneath. "You have power, Azriel," she said, her voice sharp but not unkind. "But you lack control. You let your fear and anger fuel you." She was right. Our rivalry wasn't born of hatred, but of a shared ambition to be the best. We became friends in a weird, competitive sort of way. We trained together, pushed each other, and slowly, a powerful alliance began to form. I had an ally, and I was going to need one. Master Zoki announced our next big test, a challenge that was both a final exam and a crucial step on my personal quest. "You will climb Mount Cinder," he declared, his voice echoing in the training hall. "The path is treacherous, filled with ancient magical traps and illusions. You will not go alone. You will work in pairs." My eyes immediately met Minamoto's across the room. It was unspoken. We would be partners. This was it. The mountain where the legendary hermit was said to reside. This trial wasn't just for a grade. It was my one chance at finding a cure. The climb was brutal from the very start. The mountain seemed to fight back against us. The path would vanish, forcing us to forge a new one. Rocks would tumble down, animated by grumpy earth spirits. We had to rely on each other completely. Minamoto would use her light magic to reveal hidden illusionary pits, while I used my blood art to sense the faint life forces of magical creatures hiding in ambush. It was a delicate dance of offense and defense, of light and shadow working in concert. We argued, we disagreed, but we always had each other's back. One of the first major traps we encountered was the Chamber of Echoes. It was a cave that amplified our deepest insecurities. For Minamoto, the proud princess, it whispered that she was a failure, unworthy of her title. For me, it was worse. The voices from my stone returned, louder than ever, telling me to give in, that my friends secretly feared me, that I would only bring them ruin. The darkness in my chest pulsed, threatening to break free, but Minamoto was there. She created a sphere of pure, silent light, cutting through the hateful noise. "Don't listen, Azrial," she yelled. "It's a lie." Her strength gave me strength. We learned to combine our powers in ways we never thought possible. In one section, we faced a series of complex magical puzzles etched into a cliff face. I could sense the flow of magic required to solve them, but my control wasn't fine enough. Minamoto, however, could manipulate her light with surgical precision. I would describe the feeling of the magic, the shape of the solution, and she would execute it perfectly with her light constructs. We were becoming a real team, our contrasting abilities complementing each other perfectly. We were climbing the mountain, but we were also climbing over our own limitations. The higher we climbed, the more intense the mountain's trials became. The final challenge before the summit wasn't a physical trap or a monster. It was a test of the soul. We entered a plateau shrouded in a thick magical mist. As we stepped into it, we were separated. The mist wasn't just water vapor, it was a manifestation of our inner fears. I was alone, plunged into a world created by my own anxieties. Zeno appeared before me, but his face was twisted in disappointment. "You failed, little brother," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You let the darkness win." The illusion was powerful, preying on my deepest fear, letting down the one person I admired most. The dark energy in my stone surged, agreeing with the phantom Zeno. It showed me visions of myself losing control, my shadow magic consuming Lumina, hurting the people I loved. The temptation to just give up, to let the darkness take over and end the struggle, was immense. My knees buckled. But then, I remembered Master Zoki's words. I remembered Minamoto's unwavering light. I remembered my quest. This wasn't real. It was a trick. "No," I whispered, finding a sliver of strength. I stood up, facing the illusion of my brother. "You're not him, and I am not a failure." As I said it, the image flickered. I focused on my own magic, not the tainted power of the shadow, but the core of my blood art. It was a part of me, my life force. It was mine to command. I drew on it, not with anger or fear, but with calm resolve. A warm crimson light, pure and untainted by black, began to glow from my hands. I was facing my inner darkness, not with brute force, but with acceptance and control. From the mist, a shadowy version of myself emerged, its eyes glowing with malevolent red light. It was the entity from my stone, given form by the magic of the mountain. It lunged at me, but instead of fighting it with rage, I met its attack with a shield of controlled energy. I didn't try to destroy it. I tried to contain it, to absorb its chaotic power and impose my own will upon it. Minamoto was facing her own trial nearby, a phantom of her father telling her she wasn't strong enough to rule. We were fighting the same battle, miles apart. We had to conquer our own demons before we could face the world. By asserting control over my own magic, I was able to subdue the shadow self. It didn't vanish, but it recoiled, forced back into the confines of the stone, its power now subject to my will, not the other way around. As the mist cleared, I saw Minamoto standing nearby, her face resolute. She had clearly won her own battle. We looked at each other, a new understanding passing between us. We had faced our inner darkness and emerged stronger. At the summit of Mount Cinder, a lone figure stood waiting for us. It was the hermit, or rather, Master Zoki. He smiled, a rare sight. "The hermit is a legend, a story to give you a destination," he explained. "The only one who could teach you to control the darkness was you. The mountain was your final teacher. You have passed." He revealed that this entire trial was the final initiation into an elite group of magic users within Lumina. They were tasked with fighting the world's darkest magical threats, often using unconventional or dangerous powers to do so. They were a secret order, the village's hidden protectors. They were known as the Dark Slayers. Receiving the emblem of the Dark Slayers felt more significant than my awakening. My stone, once a symbol of my curse, now felt different. It was still a source of immense and dangerous power, but it was my power to command. I had not been cured, but I had learned to control the beast within. Minamoto and I stood side by side, no longer just students but members of this clandestine group. We were partners, equals, our rivalry forged into an unbreakable bond of trust and respect. We had started as kids in a classroom and now we were guardians. Our journey was far from over. Master Zoki told us that my stone was a key, a beacon that would attract other dark entities. My quest hadn't ended on the mountain. It had just been given a new name. There were other threats out there, other shadows that needed fighting. Looking out from the peak of Mount Cinder, with Minamoto by my side and a new purpose in my heart, I felt a sense of peace. The path ahead would be dangerous, but I would not walk it alone. Our adventures as Dark Slayers were just beginning, and we were ready for whatever came next.